This is not clickbait. This is 100% true. They even admitted it. But, they got what they wanted, so who cares if it technically started with a lie? Now, the reason I'm making this video is because I get moms reaching out to me super concerned about porn and its impact on their kids. They're terrified that porn is going to majorly influence how their child views sex. Majority of the time, these same parents will say to me in the conversation that they've heard about how porn affects the brain of young kids and they don't want their teen to develop a porn addiction. Now, I've been hearing this so often from wonderful parents like you that I wanted to figure out where this is all coming from. Because I know the stats and I know the health recommendations, and I'm a parent too. I am concerned about how porn may influence my own kids' perceptions of sexual relationships, but I'm not terrified of it. A while back, I made a video on the truth about porn addiction and I dispelled that myth. But clearly, this idea that if a child sees porn, they're going to become addicted is still being perpetuated, and y'all are very concerned. So I dove in and I pieced together how this all started with a lie. You know how when you kind of stretch the truth a little bit in order to make it a more convincing story or to get to the punchline faster? That's what anti-porn activists did when they decided to call porn a public health crisis. Let's venture back to the year 2015, which is unbelievably 9 years ago now. The where is the US Capitol, and the what is an event offered to the folks in Congress to learn about the potential connection between human trafficking, prostitution, and pornography. Their words, not mine. Because as soon as I see the word prostitution instead of sex work, I immediately start to wonder who wrote it and what group are they affiliated with. Okay, so now the folks at Congress are hearing from self-described anti-porn public health activists. And if you're like me, you see that term and you're like, well, what does that mean? They are folks who say that there is a link between individuals who watch violent sex acts and porn and an increase in sexual violence, assault, and abuse against women and children offline. So now these anti-porn public health activists are soliciting members of Congress in 2015, saying that porn may be the root cause of sexual exploitation and human trafficking, and it could be fundamentally shifting the brain development of children who view it. Now, just to be very clear, sexual exploitation is wrong, and human trafficking is wrong. And children should most definitely not be watching porn because it's not intended for children at all. So now when I hear those types of statements being made, my first question is porn the causal link? Right? Are individuals just watching so much porn that they decide to become human traffickers and begin sexually exploiting others? Okay, now back to 2015, and these anti-porn public health activists are telling any members of Congress who are willing to listen to them that they have looked into the research. And it's showing that porn has become more violent over the years, and at the same time, there's been an increase in human trafficking and forced prostitution. And then they draw a conclusion for the members of Congress, saying that porn is a problem for the safety and well-being of all women and children, and therefore porn is a public health crisis and the government needs to take action. If you're finding this video to be helpful, you can help me out by, only if you want to. Now, the research did show that males who watch violent porn that portrayed a female victim who seemed to enjoy the assault in the scene, those males were more likely to be aggressive towards women and believed that women enjoyed sexual encounters that were violent and aggressive. Now, clearly, the males that are watching this type of porn are misunderstanding that the porn performers are performing and that they have agreed to performing violent sex. When consenting adults consent to having sex and they communicate that they want to be dominated or they want to have rough sex, that's their decision. They get to make that choice. And they may choose to do that while being filmed. Now, the question I have here is, are the males who are watching this, have they received porn literacy education in order to understand the behind the scenes of what is happening in porn? And is porn the causal factor to human trafficking? Well, the answer to both of them is it's not clear. On the human trafficking side, human trafficking is a legal activity. And just like weapons trafficking and drug trafficking, we don't have clear stats on those, and we don't have clear stats on human trafficking either. Now let's get back to what the anti-porn public health activists are saying. They're saying that there is a potential link between all porn and all human trafficking. They said that this is such a huge problem that it, being porn, needs to be addressed immediately because it is a public health crisis. Now, one man from the state of Utah was listening. It made a lot of sense to him that individuals who watch violent porn are more likely to commit sexual violence against women and children or be a human trafficker. He didn't question if these potential connections actually established a causal link, or was it just someone's hypothesis? He didn't really care if it was true or not. It sounded plausible to him, and he was on board to protect women and children. The man was Senator Todd Weiler of Utah, and he returned to Utah and got to work writing a bill, taking the claims that were told to him as potential connections, plausible connections, but not causal connections. And he wrote a bill stating the claims as basically facts, stating that porn is a public health crisis and it can have damaging effects to the people of Utah. Now, you and I both know that basically anything, if consumed too much or used inappropriately, it can potentially have negative outcomes, porn included. But to state that porn is a public health crisis is brazen, because it doesn't meet the criteria to actually be a public health crisis. There's been no spike in porn watching or participation. It's just been a steady, gradual increase over time. Watching porn does not directly or imminently lead to death or disease. And local hospitals and health centers are not overwhelmed with patients seeking health services for their porn viewing. These points were made by many public health departments between 2016 and 2020 because Utah ended up passing that bill. Even the Salt Lake City Department of Health ignored this bill because it didn't meet the criteria for a public health crisis. So there was really nothing for them to take action on. Public health experts stated, the existing evidence suggests that there may be negative health consequences for some people who use pornography, no substantial consequences for the majority, and even positive effects for some, for example, through safer sexual behaviors such as solo masturbation. They then went on to say that porn literacy education is actually more impactful in addressing the perceived negative consequences of viewing porn than just simply declaring it a public health crisis. And I completely agree as a public health professional. But when I made a video teaching parents how to have an effective porn literacy talk, YouTube deemed that inappropriate and they put it behind an 18+ only viewing wall. So in the end, the anti-porn public health activists stretched the truth just enough to get one US congressman to write a bill stating that porn is a public health crisis when it is not. And I think this is where it all began, and it spilled over into parent groups. And so now when parents see my content using a public health approach to teach parents how to have an effective porn talk, they seem to be really skeptical that it could even work, because in their mind, they truly believe that porn is bad and it should not exist. So I'm gonna tell you what I tell them. I'm gonna work with you, but you gotta own your beliefs. It's crucial that you know why you believe what you believe. Because when you truly believe in something, you can talk about it, you can explain it, you can understand why it exists while still believing what it is that you believe. So if you are watching this and you truly believe that porn is bad and it should not exist, that is your belief, and I will not try and convince you to change that belief. But here's what I am going to ask you to do. Before you go sharing your personal belief about porn, explain to your kid what is porn, why it's made, why people watch it, porn literacy, and a few more other things that I talk about all in my Top Talks parenting course. After you explain all of those things, and that usually takes about 1 to 2 years in order to cover all of the information, then, and only then, do you share your belief. And here's why. Because now your kid knows all about it. There's no surprise, there's no curiosity anymore. They've asked questions and you've answered all of their questions. And they have a really solid understanding now of why porn is not intended for children to view. So now when you go to share your personal belief about porn and why you believe it, they'll listen because you've already answered all of their questions about what it is in an age-appropriate and factual way. And so now they're probably just going to ask you questions around why. Why do you believe that? Why do you say that? And you're going to then get to share your belief fully. And so if you want to learn how to have the sex, masturbation, and porn talk in a systematic and strategic way, go on and fill out the form that is linked in the description and the comments. I'm here waiting to help you have the porn talk.